Hi everyone, this is Jyoti here and we are discussing types of verbs. See, in our earlier sessions, we have already discussed much about linking verbs and auxiliaries, that is, helping verb. Today, we are going to talk about principal verbs and their different types. Alright, so let's begin. So first of all, principal verbs, they are also called main verbs or action verbs because they talk about action being done by subject. All right? When I say subject, it means doer of an action. All right? These action verbs are further classified into three groups. Now, before I give their names, let's talk about some of the sentences. All right? First, we'll see some sentences and then we'll talk about the topic of these three groups. All right? Let's start. So here, if I write, my father bought, then the shelf holds, Winnie played, then the bookseller sold. Okay? More sentence we'll write down. Let's say Smita slept. The little boy cried when his toy broke. Okay, let me just. Okay, then the sun rose up in the sky. Okay, the next one is she understood it. Okay. Well, so these are some of the sentences. Let's look at them now. See, when I say my father bought, okay, my father bought. For example, my father bought. Here, if I read this sentence, it's not making sense. It's not making complete sense, right? My father bought. Is it making sense? Well, no. But if I just write here, my father bought a car. Now is it making sense? Yes. So here I need to add object. Okay? Because this is your subject, this is your verb, and this is your object. Right? Next one. The shelf holds. Well, this is also not making sense. The shelf holds. Holds what? Well, books. Right? So, again, to make sense, to be able to, if I want this sentence to be able to make sense, then I needed to add one word, and that word is object. That is object part of a sentence. All right? Next is Winnie played. Well, it's not making complete sense again. But if I say Winnie played cricket, now it's making complete sense. Means, again, this needed object to be added. Okay? The bookseller sold. Again, it's not making sense. So I needed to add books. The bookseller sold books. Here also, if I add object to it, the sentence is making sense. All right? So these sentences, they needed object to be added so that they can make sense. Verbs like bought, holds, played, sold, they themselves are not making complete sense. They need one object so that they can make sense, right? Okay, now let's talk about these sentences. Smita slept. Well, yes, it's making sense. Smita slept. Fine. All right. Do we need any object here? No. The little boy cried. Well, if I just read this much, the little boy cried, it's still making sense. I don't need to add anything here. Okay? So this cried is your verb, but it doesn't need anything. Okay? Well, just a minute. Okay? So this cried is verb, but it doesn't need anything to make sense. The sun rose up in the sky. If I just read this much, the sun rose, it's still making sense. The sun rose. Fine. Right? The next sentence is, she understood it. Well, she understood. It doesn't need anything. Right? So, when your verb need some object so that it can make sense, then such verbs are called transitive verb. Okay? So, when they need object so that they can make sense, they are called transitive verbs. There are some verbs, they don't need any object to make sense, so they are called intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs. And there are some other verbs, they are called incomplete verb. That we will see later on. First, let's just look at transitive and intransitive. All right? So, what we have discussed, there are different types of verbs: main verb, linking verb, helping verb. Depending on whether this main verb needs object or not to make sense, they are further classified into three types, and they are transitive verbs, intransitive verbs, and incomplete verb, right? Transitive verbs, transitive verbs, they need object, all right? Without object, they will not make sense. On the other hand, intransitive verb, they are cool. They just can stand alone and they make sense. They might not need object, all right, to make complete sense, right? So if we talk more about transitive verb, see, they need object, right? They need object, then this is the rule. Let me write it here. They need object. Just add it here. Okay. Here, they don't need object. They don't need object. Now, how to find out whether the verb is transitive verb or intransitive verb? Now, there are some steps, all right? The first thing is, all right, now let's do some mix exercise so that you understand it much better way. how to find out if the verb is transitive or intransitive. So there are some steps. The first step is find out verbs. Okay, verb or verbs, right? Then ask question to the verb. But how? Ask question to the verb using what or who, right? This is very important. First of all, find out verb. Okay, well, let me mark it. Find out verb. Second one is ask question to that verb using what or who. All right. Now, let's see these examples only. Find out verb. Let me first erase this. Okay. So our steps is to find out verb, if the verb is transitive or intransitive. See. The first one is find out verb. So if I talk about this sentence, my father bought a car. So our verb is draw. Sorry, bought. Our verb is bought. Let me just keep it like this. Okay, so my verb is bought. And then ask question to the verb with what or who. Okay, so bought what? And you are getting answer car. So by asking question to verb using what or who, if you get answer, then that verb is your transitive verb. All right. Next one. The shelf holds books. Your verb is holds. Ask question to the verb. Holds what? You are getting answer. That is books. And that's why hold is your transitive verb. Winnie played cricket. Played is your verb. By asking question to the verb, played what? You are getting answer cricket. Okay? Now, the bookseller sold. Sold is your verb. Again, sold what? Books. So, this is your transitive verb. Let's come to the intransitive. If I say, Smita slept for hours. Smita slept for hours. My verb here is, again, the first thing we need to do is find out verb slept. Slept who? We are not getting answer. Slept what? We are not getting answer. And that's why we can say that slept is your intransitive verb. Okay? Now, again. Next is the little boy cried. Cried what? We are not getting answer. Cried who? Again, we are not getting answer. So, naturally, this is your intransitive verb. The sun rose. Rose what? Again, no answer. Rose who? Again, senseless question. So, no answer. Right? Here, see, she understood it can be intransitive or transitive also because she understood. Fine. When we know what we are talking about, then it is, it needs object. It doesn't need object when we know what we are talking about. All right. So let's take some more examples of intransitive verb. All right. Okay. If I say, go and see your father. Go and see your father. Okay, you can easily say that go is verb here, right? So here go is your intransitive verb because you can just simply say go, right? So go here becomes your intransitive verb. All right. So this is how we can find out if the given verb is transitive or intransitive. All right. Let's see some more example for transitive and intransitive. Okay. See, if I say the clock stopped this morning, here in this question, my verb is stopped. The clock stopped. If I ask question, stopped what? I'm not getting answer here somewhere. If I say stopped who, again I'm not getting answer. So this stopped is my intransitive verb. Okay, so this become my intransitive verb. Right? Next sentence. If I say the policeman blew his whistle. Again, find out verb blew. Ask question to the verb blew what? Whistle. Yes, we are getting answer by asking question. So this is your transitive verb. Okay. All right. The next question is the clock ticks all day long. Again, verb is ticks. Ticks what? No answer. Ticks who? No answer. So this is intransitive. So simple. If you want to find out transitive or intransitive, just find out verb. Ask question to the verb using who or what. If you get answer to the question, then it is transitive verb. If you don't get answer, then it is intransitive verb. All right. One more hint you can say here is that transitive verb, they don't make sense without any object, whereas intransitive verb, they can make sense even without object. All right. So transitive verb definitely needs object. Intransitive verb don't need object. All right. So this is how transitive and intransitive verbs work. For the next part, that is for the next type, incomplete verbs, we'll see this incomplete verbs in our next session. Till then, goodbye.